c7 is a good idea, but it's currently not a good move. In order to avoid the tactical bomb knight takes f7, black should support the knight on d5 with c6. Now that the knight on d5 is supported, black may consider playing knight d7. If white tries to dislodge the knight with c4, this is actually not a good choice for white, as it allows knight b4. Bishop f5 is one annoying threat, taking advantage of white's weakened light squares. And if white tries to chase the knight once again with a3, white is in for a rude awakening after the tactical shot queen takes d4. Winning a pawn, as a takes b4 allows queen takes e5 check. And if white decides to capture the queen, this allows the unpleasant fork knight c2 check, regaining material on the next move with knight takes d4 when black is simply up a pawn, a good tactical trick to keep in mind. Since the knight on d5 is reinforced by the c6 pawn, bishop c4 isn't a particularly effective choice. Moving the bishop to d3 looks active, but it does block the queen's protection of the d4 pawn. In this case, black may be encouraged to play g6, preparing to fianchetto the dark-squared bishop, exerting pressure down the long diagonal. This is why white's most popular choice is to play the modest-looking bishop e2, preparing to simply castle and focus on rapid development. Although it's possible to play knight d7 immediately, white can avoid the exchange of knights with knight f3, when black's light-squared bishop remains passive. With this in mind, black can first play bishop f5, activating the light-squared bishop, and only then preparing to challenge white's knight with knight d7. We see a typical position arise after white castles, and black confronts white's active knight with knight d7. Since white enjoys a comfortable space advantage, it's better to avoid exchanging pieces with knight f3. A sensible continuation is e6, supporting the center while also preparing kingside development. White's play up to this point has been quite modest, simply focusing on healthy development. In order to challenge black's defenses, it's important to take space with c4, gaining a tempo against the knight in the process. If black tries to lunge forward with knight b4, threatening knight c2, the interested viewer is encouraged to analyze the powerful response a3, calling black's bluff, as knight c2 is well met by rook a2, leading to an overwhelming advantage for white. A more solid path is to simply retreat the knight back to f6. Grandmaster Sergei Karyakin demonstrated a path to a comfortable game for white, starting with knight c3. White's idea is to eventually gain the bishop pair with knight h4. If black tries to stop this with h6, providing an escape square for the light-squared bishop on h7, white is ready to strike in the center with d5, opening up lines in order to exploit his lead in development. His opponent, Grandmaster Gadakomsky, decided to activate his dark-squared bishop with bishop d6, pointing toward white's kingside while also preparing a future e5 pawn break. White continued with the well-timed knight h4, threatening the light-squared bishop, so black responded with bishop g6. There is no rush to claim the bishop pair with knight takes g6, as this would open up the h-file after h takes g6, revealing the rook's pressure against white's kingside. Grandmaster Karyakin preferred to play the instructive g3, supporting the knight on h4, restricting black's dark-squared bishop, and most importantly, preparing bishop f3, activating the light-squared bishop on the long diagonal, while also preparing a possible retreat to g2 if desirable. White is waiting for black to castle kingside before claiming the bishop pair with knight takes g6. Grandmaster Komsky decided he did not have a better choice, and simply decided to castle, allowing knight takes g6, and h takes g6. White gains the bishop pair, followed by activating the light-squared bishop with bishop f3. White will likely continue with bishop e3, preparing to expand on the queen side with an eventual a3 and b4, and likely meeting a possible e5 pawn break with d5. Although white enjoys a slightly more comfortable game, black's position remains quite solid. One idea is to play rook e8 and queen c7, preparing the central pawn break e5. In this case, if white plays the desirable d5, this may be met by e4, trying to restrict white's light-squared bishop, leading to complex positional play. Instead of classically defending the center with a pawn, the Alekhine defense confronts white's center immediately with knight f6. The point behind this strange-looking move is to provoke white into marching forward with pawns, gaining space, but black intends to counterattack white's advanced center. White may try to challenge black's defenses with the aggressive four-pawns attack, leading to sharp, double-edged play. On the other hand, white may play more positionally, content with building a solid setup and trying to squeeze black from a slightly more comfortable position. No matter how white decides to handle the opening, the Alekhine remains a resilient, playable defense with plenty of creative resources to discover. Thanks for exploring this provocative defense against e4, and best of luck the next time black's knight makes a provocative entrance into your game on the very first move.